Everybody, welcome. Another Cosmos Joe live stream, Cosmos DeFi on Twitter. We don't only talk about Cosmos, we just kind of talk about whatever I want here. So welcome. Hope you're doing well. It's Monday night, a little after 7 p.m. The new time slot that I'm working with right now. Just trying to streamline some things for you guys. Keep it interesting, keep it fresh, talk about some things that nobody else is really talking about. That's the goal here. That's the goal. So what do we got today? Well, lots of stuff. But yeah, this is an all-purpose crypto news live stream. Got an educational angle. Going to teach you all about Solana token extensions today. That was my big research project the last couple of days. But, not just Cosmos. We keep all your bags covered. That's the goal here. And we listen to some AI hip-hop along the way. Got some Bitcoin news. We got, bunch of crypto-related stories on this live stream. But like I mentioned before, I'm Cosmos DeFi on Twitter. Joe, call me Joe, but welcome new people if you don't know me. All my socials are up there. Sorry, I'm backwards. But welcome back if you're a returning viewer. Welcome if you're on Twitter, share this. Or just come into YouTube and join the chat. We have some fun in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you're there, and if I'm coming in loud and clear, that would definitely help me out. But yeah, we're going to talk about Solana token extensions today, but not before we hit some other news stories. We got some FTX drama, as usual, some Bitcoin and Ethereum notes that I want to go over. Polygon, Avalanche. We're going to talk a little bit about privacy versus transparency. Got some Uniswap data that you might find interesting. We're going to look at some trends to follow in 2024. And so February 5th, still the beginning of the year, but it looks like a lot has already happened. A lot. Oh, and I have a guest tonight. I have a guest that's going to pop in at some point. I'm going to talk about some VC inflows into the crypto space, which I find extremely interesting. A lot of people don't like VCs. They get a bad rap. I don't know why. I would prefer VCs take a lot of the risk in this space and not me. But yeah, we'll hear about some VC inflows. That's Swiss from Crypto Chemistry. But let me go through my disclaimers and we'll get going here. Not financial advice. My sources are not vetted. I just pick headlines that I like to talk about. We don't only talk about Cosmos, but please exercise proper risk management on your part. My portfolio, pretty transparent. I'll let you know what I'm buying, what I'm selling. I don't make a lot of trades, so it's pretty easy to keep up with. But shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. I see a bunch of you guys already here, so say hello if you're there. And if you're on Twitter, come to YouTube. Or at least if you're on Twitter, share it. We're going to have some fun today. Like I said, I'm trying to streamline this for you guys as much as possible. But before we get into it, let me just shout out some sponsors. Shade Protocol and Kinetics are my channel sponsors. I appreciate them. They, give me some runway, as they call it, to do this live stream, experiment with some new stuff, do some content, share some info on Twitter about them. But yeah, Shade Protocol is a front-running resistant DeFi suite of applications built on the secret network. Privacy, they keep privacy in mind. I'll share their link down below. And then we got Kinetics, which is a perps platform on the Kava chain, which is an EVM chain within Cosmos. So yes, there's IBC. Actually, the Kinetics token airdrop is coming any day now. And on Wednesday, they are going to have a Twitter space, which is now going to be regularly held by the Kinetics team, or I should say people involved with Kinetics. And it's called Into the Cosmos. And I was listening to it last week, and it was awesome. They were just talking about decentralization, talking about how Bitcoin and Doge seem to be more decentralized than a lot of the other chains. I mean, I kind of say that all the time. Proof of work, when you don't have a founding organization holding a bunch of tokens, seems to be way more decentralized than proof of stake, right? It just seems to be. We'll see if that changes. But yeah, Shade Protocol, big shout out to you guys, and Kinetics, big shout out to you guys as well. Let's look at tokens first. Let's look at tokens. We bring in CoinGecko here. Let me zoom me out. You don't have to see my whole head. We'll get rid of this music for now. Music is pretty chill though. Some AI hip hop. But yeah, I like to look at the movers and the losers. I look at things on kind of a long time horizon. This is the last 7 days. We got Flare token up 32%. It's dipped today, but looks like they're doing well. I know nothing about Flare, just bringing you the facts here. Chainlink's been almost like a lead indicator for this early bull cycle. So maybe this is a good sign, 27% in a week. That is not bad for what I would consider to be a large cap crypto altcoin. And Immutable X, which wasn't number 3 when I set up this tab, it was BitTensor, which we have talked about on this show before. I actually have a video coming out about Chainlink. I scripted it out, I don't know, 2 months ago, and I just never made it. I was going to talk about infrastructure, ERC20 infrastructure related tokens. Looks like I should have just bought it when I scripted out the video, because I was also going to talk about Render, which has done really well the last couple of months, and then the Graph, which I do own, and I did pick up a little bit more of GRT token in the month of January. Let's go to the losers. Those are the movers. Let's go to the losers. Where are my tabs here? Where are my tabs? And I'm only looking at top 100 tokens, by the way. Here's Jupiter. Jupiter was what, an airdrop on Solana. That doesn't count. But Sats, the BRC20 token that just like was a raging inferno for like a month or two, cracked the top 100 tokens and has since peeled back just a little bit. I did an ordinals and BRC20 focused Twitter space 2 Fridays ago. And the guest that I had on is building something using the ordinal protocol. And he said that he wouldn't be surprised to see a BRC20 in the top 10 by market cap at some point in this cycle. So yeah, I mean, I would watch Sats, I would watch Ordi, and I would watch any other BRC20 token that looks like it's catching a bid. And then we have Injective, which is coming down quite a bit. Injective over the last 12 months is probably one of the top 4 or 5 performing tokens out of the top 100, if I had to guess. Injective, I believe Injective was under $1 like a little over a year ago, ripped up to like 35, and now it's peeling back down. That's okay. It's okay. We got Lido, CoinFlux, Blur. Don't know much about these, but yeah, these are our 3 losers. I mean, they're still top 100 tokens, but just looking at the last 7 days. And I did mention some portfolio moves. I got it right here. I picked up a little bit of GRT. I think my average entry is like 13 to 15 cents there. I picked up Syntropy, another infrastructure type ERC20 token. The token symbol is NOIA, NOIA. I picked that up a couple of weeks ago. I just claimed my Astrovault, my AXV airdrop today. They completed a token sale. So did Aqua Libre, AQLA. Both of those are Cosmos related tokens. They had very fair token launches that we talked about last week, and was pretty impressed. They launched on 2 different platforms, 2 different styles of token launch, and I felt they were pretty fair. So got in on both of those. Plus, I claimed my AXV airdrop today, which I got for staking Jackal. Hey, got C. Edwards in the chat. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. You are a repeat customer. You're a repeat customer. And here I'm gonna drink some nice tea out of my my Snow White coffee mug. All right, it's for my throat. Got some colds going around in my household. Plus, I work in a school, so that's not productive for the immune system at all. It's not productive at all. Anyway, C. Edwards, good to see you. We're gonna get into the news first. Like let's get some quick news out of the way, stuff that actually matters in the big picture. And speaking of stuff that matters, which I wish it didn't matter, was FTX. FTX is FTX. This did happen. Here we go. So FTX says it expects to repay customers in full. I mean, I wouldn't hold my breath for that, but that's what they say. And they've been pretty consistent putting out information like that uh, for the better part of a year, right? But some of the customers want more. They want more than the money they put in the platform. So maybe they don't understand how risk works, but they did lose a lot of money overall. And there are people that lost money, have money still trapped on Celsius and other platforms as well. But according to the customers, FTX went down at the wrong time because they missed that price appreciation while their tokens were launched. But look what it says here. Let me see if I can make it bigger for you guys. A group of former customers of bankrupt crypto exchange FTX are rebelling against a proposed plan that would return the entirety of the money they lost. In a lawsuit filed this week, customers argue they are due a whole lot more. Hey, look, of course you're going to want a whole lot more. Um, I don't know how FTX is going to pay all this back. They must. I mean, I know they liquidated some GBTC, right? I'm pretty sure that's what they did. But they do have a plan to return customer funds. But they're saying that this does not reflect the full scope of their actual obligations to customers. Well, we'll see. We'll see. It says FTX collapsed in November 2022. Has it been that long already? It's like almost a year and a half. Wow. Wow. I live in New York. I couldn't use FTX. I couldn't use Celsius. I wasn't involved in any of these major malfunctions. Hey, Ambito, good to see you in the chat as well. Thanks for sticking it out. I know that sometimes YouTube live streams, sometimes they give me trouble as well. Hopefully not everyone's having trouble, but I see we got some people in the chat. So I guess it's working. But yeah, it says when FTX fell, crypto market was in the doldrums. Yeah, prices were, that was basically the bottom, right? That basically marked the bottom, this FTX implosion, but it has since rebounded. Yeah, I'll say. Bitcoin's up, what, 2.5 times, which means everything else is up by higher multiples. Yeah, FTX. I mean, I never really got too involved in the story. It was sensationalized like crazy, made all these connections with Sam Bankman-Fried to political parties and all that. But yeah, I mean, you take on massive risk using these crypto assets. These exchanges are not backed the same way banks are backed. I would imagine some of them will be at some point, but yeah, good luck to these customers. I hope they do all right. I don't know where the other money is going to come from that they think they're owed, but good luck. Good luck. um, some Bitcoin news here. Self-proclaimed Bitcoin inventor. Bitcoin inventors claim a brazen lie, right? So this is just such a weird story, I think, anyway. This is Craig Wright. He's a computer scientist. He's from Australia. He claims he wrote the Bitcoin white paper. That's what he claims. I mean, pretty remarkable if he did, but it says a Jack Dorsey-backed group, the lawyers call this a brazen lie. And there's a legal battle over the ownership of the cryptocurrency, some legal battle that Craig Wright has inserted himself into by saying, I'm Satoshi. It says he's the author of the white paper, which is, they refer to it as the foundational text of Bitcoin. Yeah, I'll say the foundational text for Web3. And he argues that he owns the copyright in the white paper and has the IP rights over the blockchain. I mean, again, another one of these lawsuits. I don't know how this is going to shake out, but sounds like he's going to have some trouble there, right? But it says, but the Crypto Open Patent Alliance, COPA, whose members include Twitter founder Jack Dorsey, his payments firm called Square, is asking the London's High Court to rule that Wright is not Satoshi. 5-week hearing for this. Unbelievable. Really, really, really unbelievable. But I mean, Craig Wright, if you own the blockchain, I mean, the intellectual rights over the blockchain, maybe you'll be able to move some tokens out of that Genesis wallet, right? I mean, that to me, that the founder of the white paper, the writer of the white paper is probably the person that owns that massive Genesis wallet, which is like what, like 3% of the supply. It's like a massive wallet sitting out there that no one's ever spent funds from. But that's Bitcoin. And I don't have much Bitcoin news today. That's just one of the stories. And then we've got where is it? SBF. I'm missing a link here, it looks like, but that's okay. Here we go. Let's go to ETH. And this is about market manipulation. So I didn't mean for this to happen, but it looks like 3 negative stories just to lead things off, and it shouldn't be so negative given the markets the market we're in right now is not too bad. I see people getting impatient on Twitter, but like, yo, shut up. Like Bitcoin's over 40,000. Just chill. Just chill. We have an ETF. Relax. So what do we got here? So we got a new study by an on-chain sleuth found possible pump and dump patterns for 54% of the tokens listed in 2023. So they're talking about new tokens that were listed. 54% possible pump and dumps. I mean, Ethereum, when it comes to ERC20s, except for a handful, right? Except for like Chainlink and a couple of others, it's been the Wild West really since the ICO era, right? A big upside of creating financial markets on a permissionless network. There are no rules, but that might be the downside too. All right. What a way to lead. I mean, this is not an AI generated article. I can already tell. Data released Thursday by Chainalysis suggests that 54% of all the tokens launched on Ethereum suggested pump and dumps. Where pump and dump is when the insiders, they manipulate the token price and they're able to sell their allocations into a price surge of some sort or a supply squeeze of some sort. And now, of course, they say, to be clear, the prevalence of this activity is limited in scope. These tokens only comprised 1.3% of the total trading volume, right? Because they're micro cap tokens, but still 54%. I mean, that's a lot of bot activity in Telegram and Discord, right? A lot of bot activity on Twitter. These pump and dumps, from what I can see, are usually really assisted by tons of fake engagement on social media. People fall for it, right? In the beginning, when I was buying NFTs, I would look at how many Discord members a project had, and I had no idea that they could be fake. I was like, wow, this project has 13,000 Discord members, and the collection's only going to be 10,000. I have to mint this. It's going to pump. And then it wouldn't even sell out, and I didn't understand. And a lot of the engagement's fake, everybody. It's all fake. It's not that many people in crypto. There's sure as hell not that many people in on Twitter in crypto. Your timeline does not represent the rest of Twitter. That's what I'm trying to say. In fact, there might be more people active on Reddit than Twitter. But yeah, be careful, guys. It's pump and dumps. People are trying to steal your money. Did you know that? Did you know that? I'm going to bring this one out here. Definitely fully authentic engagement. That's a weird one. I mean, I did a Twitter space with them in like May. And I had bots. I had so many bots in that Twitter space, like 200 bots out of like 250 people. And I couldn't even do giveaways. I was trying to do giveaways. They were all fake. And then for the next 6 months, those bots were like retweeting and commenting on the tweet announcing that Twitter space. Hey, good project, bro. Hey, to the moon. Good luck with the launch. Whatever. Stupid bots. Stupid bots. So I'm going to try to do something that I haven't done before. I'm not putting that on the screen. I don't want to put that on the screen. Guys, are you offended by my by my Snow White mug that one of my students gave me. As soon as I saw it, I knew it was Snow White. It's got the vultures from Snow White. Just iconic. Did you guys know Snow White was the first ever animated movie? It's like 1930, something like that. Anyway, let's I want to do something I've never done before, and that is play a video, not a whole video, a very short clip of a video on the stream. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, unfortunately. Oh, here we go. So let me know in the chat if you could even hear it. If you can't hear it, I'll just cut it. But Solana. If you've been sleeping on Solana, you probably missed a lot like I did. And I was going to buy into Solana when it was like under $10. And I don't know what I was thinking. I had some stable coins and I said, wow, looks like Solana's on sale. This is like maybe like 8, 9, 10 months ago. And I was like, Solana, man, that is such a good high risk, high reward buy right now. $10 Solana. It looks like they've washed their hands of FTX. It looks like maybe they're the fastest blockchain, which is going to be attractive to, any high volume trading, client, traditional businesses, institutions. Well, I slept on it until recently, and then I saw this video. So let me know if you could hear it. If you can't hear it, I'll axe it. But last week I did a rant. Let me preface this. Last week I went on like a rant about these token extensions, and I didn't look into the details of them. I watched the video once and I talked about it on the stream, and I was like, Solana is so smart. They're making a play at real world business who will benefit from leveraging blockchain. They're making a play for stablecoin issuers. They're making a play for institutions. So smart. Why aren't all the other ecosystems, especially the ones whose tokens I hold, doing this? And I was frustrated about how, DeFi is still like in its toddler stage. So it's like everything's so fragmented. There's no unity and like there's no one really pushing it at the speed of light. Solana's pushing at the speed of light. So let's watch this. We're not going to watch the whole thing. There you go. Oh, you guys couldn't hear it? I think I was supposed to push a button to give you guys the sound. Let's see if I could fix that. Let's see if I could fix that. That's not what I want. Maybe you're the only one that couldn't hear it. Oh, I have to share it as a tab. No, I can't do that. Anyway, long story short, basically saying that token extensions are designed for developers, businesses, institutions. That's what they say. It gives optionality to these users. These users that want to use Solana as a platform, right? Not everything belongs on blockchain, right? I mean, most people will agree to that. Not everything belongs on blockchain, but Solana is coming, starting off 2024 with these token extensions. And you could have permission tokens, like it says here, build stablecoins, simplify payments, all of this. And there are 12 different token extensions. You could think of them, token standards is what I would call them. That's what I would call them, token standards. So let me sum this video up for you. You couldn't hear that, but it was just introduction, and they have 12 different extensions that they roll out. Think about that. So I mentioned that it gives options to businesses that will use Solana in some capacity, right? 12 different extensions, and these are at the token level. They're compatible with the wallets, the apps already. They're already compatible, backwards compatible, as far as I know. No patching needed. Um, I could come in, build something, and I can pick and choose which of these token extensions I want to enable for the token that I issue. If I'm a DAO, maybe I like these 3 token extensions. If I'm a stablecoin issuer, maybe I like these 5 token extensions, and they could be used in combination like that. The video here, which I'll link below, like all the links are down below. They focus on 5 of them, and one of them is called transfer hooks. And basically, when regulations and compliance are a necessity, it gives the issuer the ability to determine if a specific token transfer is allowed in the first place, right? So obviously, some businesses will not use blockchain if it's completely permissionless, Wild West, everyone's anonymous. There's going to be some KYC, AML. This doesn't mean that the whole blockchain is going to be permissioned, but for a token can be permissioned. And you will not be allowed to transfer that token unless you register in some way with the issuer, whether it's an app, an institution, whatever. If I'm going to issue a stablecoin, this is attractive to me, right? So those are transfer hooks. Then they have an extension for confidential transfers. We talked about privacy on a Twitter space, and we'll talk about it a little bit later with Shade Protocol. I did a space with NIM. We have Namada and Cosmos, these different blockchains that are privacy focused. But Solana has this token extension, so you could issue a token with this optionality of having confidential transfers. So in other words, all the info for the transaction is public, but specific details can be private, right? Compliance features, they might be required by business. They use ZK proofs to hide certain details, but auditors would have keys to be able to access everything. Where is this useful? Payroll, right? Payroll. So I always thought that blockchains would be great for payroll, accounting, right? Blockchains are pretty much it's pretty much a tool for accounting. So those are confidential transfers. The third one they talk about, permanent delegate. So the issuer is given authority, like let's say revocation of a token, right? If you need certain credentials, they could be securities tokens. Again, these are all attractive if I'm going to, in a country like the United States, deploy something on a blockchain that might need to be registered with the SEC to make it legitimate, right? But this permanent delegate extension allows tokens to be issued or destroyed at any time. At any time. And again, some of these features probably sound horrific to the, um, kind of like libertarian minded, like OG crypto people are like, oh my God, Satoshi would kill himself if he saw this. This is not for the whole blockchain. These are individual options that you can choose if you are a token issuer. All right. So that was permanent delegate, and then something called non-transferable tokens. These can be destroyed by users. It ensures that one specific wallet can receive a transaction or has access to a token. NFTs, governance tokens, right? What if you want to issue a token and you don't want people trading it in a liquidity pool? You want it to be strictly used for governance. Or maybe you're an artist and you auction off some art. You don't want it to be transferred for whatever reason, right? You could choose to enable this extension. And then there's an extension that deals with like customizable metadata, right? For new asset classes, games, things like that. But I said that blockchain is pretty much ideal for things like accounting and all that data, right? This is just going down the token extensions section of the Solana website. Simple functionality has been achieved on every blockchain. I could take tokens, I could buy them over here, I could custody them, and then I could send them over here to my friend. Like that's pretty much as far as payments have gotten on most blockchains. But these token extensions provide the promise that we'll have way more complex use cases like bank to bank settlement, right? Any regulated businesses now will be able to choose between different token extensions so that they're in compliance with their local jurisdictions. This is probably going to be attractive for lots of businesses that have been waiting for clarity, right? Waiting for the ideal situation, the ideal chain to deploy something on, or at least to do research on it, right? Some examples they talk about in that video, which I'll link down below, is you could do accounts payable, accounts receivable, right? You can match payments to an invoice. I don't know if you've ever worked at a job, but there's someone doing that by hand a lot of the time. Now it's on blockchain, right? It could be automated through a series of apps. Something else they mentioned that was interesting, tokenized invoices that could be used as collateral and generate yield. Like someone owes you money, you could use that as collateral, right? These extensions provide for that. They provide for that possibility. They provide for that possibility. So, like I said last week, I went on like a little bit of a rant because I was just disappointed that it took this long for chains to realize, like, hey, we can't just ignore regulations. We can't just allow this to be the Wild West forever. Solana's rolling out. I mean, these are products. These token extensions are products. Some people will only come to the chains that have these types of products. Stablecoin issuers, tokenizing real world assets, being able to, you know, control the issuance and maybe KYC people if they're in certain jurisdictions and all that in order to kind of maximize utility there. Just kind of maximize utility. Curious what you guys think about it. Very curious what you guys think about it. I'm sure there's a lot of negatives that will come out of this just because everything is KYC, being able to prevent transfers from going through, being able to, or forcing KYC to interact with certain tokens. But if you don't want those tokens, you don't want a KYC, you just don't interact with them, you could still use the Solana chain for whatever you want to use it for. So that's that. That's that. What else we got today? What else we got? Oh, we got some trends for 2024. I kind of want to end with that. And we will have a guest in a little bit talking about deal flows, VCs just slamming money into crypto, investing in projects. Some very interesting projects are getting funded. The last one that I talked about on here was Babylon. I believe Babylon got about $18 million, something like that. Babylon uses Bitcoin's proof of work consensus to secure proof of stake transactions somehow. So that was an interesting one. And obviously Bitcoin is secure, right? That's you can't say much else about that. So I want to bring the chat in here. Let's see. Anybody here? Anybody here? Curious what you guys think. Yeah, talked about that AXV drop. So I did claim my AXV tokens. I don't know, how was your airdrop? I staked Jackal, so I was able to take advantage of that airdrop. What else is going on in Cosmos? I didn't see too much this week. Didn't see too much. No governance drama lately. Prices are more or less flat. Nothing's doing great. Nothing's doing terrible. The Atom token itself is around $9. Celestia, what? You have that Celestia Stride partnership where people are liquid staking Celestia. Yeah, I just checked today. I bought some in that token launch. I did not I got a decent amount, I guess. I was staking Jackal for a while. And I did LP some Jackal on the platform. I don't even know if that was included or not, but yeah, AXV, we're talking about Astrovault. It's a DEX on the Archway blockchain. Really cool DEX, different model than what most people are used to. And they launched without a token. They didn't need the token initially. Well, now they have protocol owned liquidity, and the token is going to act as a governance token because the DEX makes money off of their liquidity. It's not just making all of its money off fees, which means that as long as they have some liquidity there, they can make money even if nobody trades that day. Interesting, right? Yes, you did say that. So what Tank is referring to said, remember when I said if you're bullish on Cosmos, you may as well just buy Stride. Yes, I guess. I just don't understand the Stride token, how it accrues value. I get that you could earn in all these different tokens. It's a liquid staking protocol across Cosmos. I don't know how many different liquid staking derivatives they issue. I would guess between 15 and 20 if I had to guess. But you stake your atom and then you can liquid stake it and you get this derivative. Your atom is staked, you have a derivative. That staked atom is earning a yield. You get most of it, and then a fee is collected by Stride. It's unclear to me why the token is necessary, but I guess um, it directs revenue to the token holders. I guess. I mean, it's just a strange concept because they don't have their own blockchain. But I guess on Ethereum, that's the norm. Um, I mean, that's the norm on Ethereum. Like every project has a token, even though they should just use ETH. They probably should just use ETH, but they have their own token. I mean, that's how the teams get paid. These teams like to get paid up front. I don't blame them. I wish I can get paid up front. I kind of did actually. But yeah, and then Tank, yeah, I remember we did that video. I'm trying to get an interview with Stride. I'd like to just learn more about it. People are doing really just like without thinking twice or taking advantage of liquid staking derivatives, moving the tokens all over the place. I don't know what kind of risks are involved in that, but I definitely see the upside, right? You're earning yield from two different places, sometimes three. So um, I think we're ready to talk about VC activity. Is that right? I see Swiss is here. So we'll do something we haven't done before. This was not rehearsed, I promise you that. But we're going to bring in a guest. We're going to talk about VC activity, which I think is important. This is like just such a new industry, and I think it's helpful to see where the money is coming from. It shouldn't only come from retail, especially especially as we've seen a lot of these chains get a little bit beat up. But Swiss, how's it going, man? Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to bring up your credentials here. And you just gave me some news today. We're just talking about Astrovault. You have a role in Astrovault. You want to just talk about that really quick before we get into the VC stuff?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be on with you. So, Swiss here. First name's Dylan. Hey, there we go. I am working with Astrovault to help them with business development. So, been working with Eric and Ethan long time, advising them on different things. Been kind of tangential to the sidelines for the past couple of years as they've been working on this. So, big day to day with the airdrop. And yeah, I'll be working on biz dev with them, helping integrate partners, looking at other ecosystems to expand into and line up some more listings.
That's cool. One of the things that got me attracted to them in the first place, they are very business minded, and I just don't see that across crypto enough. No one asks like how we're going to make money. They're just like, let's just launch a token. And Astrovault was successful without a token, and now they have the token, and I think people will get to do some cool stuff like, you know, the protocol's making money, and the holders of the token are kind of guide the use of that of those funds. So nice to hear that you're involved. You've given me info before for my streams. I just talked about the Babylon raise about what, like a month and a half ago. I got that from your newsletter. You're from Crypto Chemistry Validator. You guys do some consulting, but also content. You put out this newsletter. What do people need to know about the newsletter before we dig into some deals that you were tracking?
Yeah, so we've been doing content for a while, on and off a little bit, but really the newsletter is at this point the heart of it. So we cover deal flow. We try to see where the puck is going. What are VCs funding? Everyone wants to vilify the VCs, and for good reason sometimes, I think. But I think as an investor ourselves, it's informative to know where the puck is going, and it's also a way to learn about new projects too. So that and then some of the validation work we've done over the past couple of years as well. So as far as what you need to know about the newsletter, yeah, we're covering deal flow every week. Try to do it once a week. Sometimes if the deal flow is light, we might do it every 2 weeks. But the key there is just understanding trends. We're trying to really see which VCs are actively deploying money, because then we can help our clients pitch them. And then also you understand, like, is DeFi really hot right now? Is gaming really hot right now? And so as you just stay plugged in, you can kind of get a sense for what is exciting the market, or might be what's coming up, right? Because the deal flow, the news hits, they get funding, but really you don't see the fruit of that for a couple more weeks or months, right? Until something actually launches. So it's just kind of fun to be ahead of the puck, ahead of the game a little bit.
What do you see, second half of 2023 into the beginning of 2024? What are the like overarching trends that have caught your attention?
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes you'll see one or two shops being really, really hot. Like last year, it was really a market maker year, I think. A lot of market making shops were getting involved with deals, launching tokens. But lately, we've been seeing a lot of blue chip investors. So Coinbase
Mhm.
Ventures has been super active the past couple of weeks. And that to me is really exciting, because to see someone like that
Yeah,
deploy money means that there's a real deep appetite for big deals that come through, and they're important because they're not going to invest money and then walk away or kind of throw up their hands when things go maybe not so great. They're going to be having a seat at those tables, those startup boards, for a while. So
yeah, I'm sure,
that's
and
something I
that's got to
like.
be a huge, a huge advantage. You have Coinbase in your corner with some skin in the game. Both deals we're going to talk about today, Coinbase Ventures was involved, correct?
That's right.
All
Yep.
right. So the first one I've got here that you brought to my attention, Polymer Labs. Um, they're building, they're using IBC, right, to make some EVM chains interoperable. Why don't you tell us about that one first? Because that one, I think, for
Yeah.
Cosmos people is probably like, if they didn't see it, they're going to be like, "Wow, wait, what?" So let's start with that one.
Yeah, I thought this was a huge validating kind of signal for Cosmos Tech. Really,
Yeah,
what they're talking about doing is using IBC to connect a bunch of Ethereum layer 2 rollups. So, getting access to the liquidity on those rollups, I think it's going to be really important for Cosmos in general. But I don't know necessarily if they're planning on coming in deeply into the Cosmos world. Um, I know several folks on teams who have been talking with them and working with them a little bit, but I think really this is a bigger near term thing for Ethereum land, making their rollups a lot more efficient, being able to connect them without the issues that happen when you're bridging different versions of tokens. And um, IBC really is just the standard, right, for connecting blockchains together. And so I
yeah.
think just as Cosmos people, like, that's really good to see.
And they're basically just leveraging IBC instead of reinventing the wheel, it seems.
Right. So using the open source software, I mean, just integrating it. And I think anything that gets people looking at these open source repos, like battle tested developers who are smart and know what they're doing, that's certainly going to have knock on effects for the development and the continued progress of Cosmos. So that's kind of how I view that. I'm not sure what the implications will be for, like, tokens or whatnot. That
Mm.
particular deal, they didn't disclose the structure of the round, if it was equity and tokens, just token. So I think that's the takeaway for me on that one, is maybe not so much being excited about some token or something, but mostly being excited about like fundamentals on continued progress on IPC.
Yeah, and also I've heard that moving tokens from layer two to layer two is a nightmare on Ethereum. So that's definitely, there's going to be traffic on that, on those. I don't know if they're going to call them
Yeah.
channels. I don't know what they'll call them on Ethereum, but I think that'll be huge for someone like me who's not that familiar with these deals. You mentioned could be equity, could be tokens. Are those more or less the two options when it, VCs come in, they like a project, they have to get something in return, obviously, for their cash. Equity tokens, is there a big difference? I guess with the tokens, you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about lots of selling going on at the wrong time.
Yeah, I'm not sure really. So with this one, the block reported on it, and they
Hmm.
had asked the founders. They always do this in their articles. They'll say if they declined to comment on the term structure of the deal, or if they did, they'll tell what it was. But in this particular case, it's noted that they didn't disclose it. So if you're, I think a lot of deals lately, my guess is that it's a token warrants and an equity deal combination. So you have the option. It's like an option on tokens, so that you get it at a price where you have the option to buy at a low price, and then if they ever do a token, and that price is 10x whatever that price, whatever their option's worth, they get to collect the spread. They can close the options and basically collect the difference.
Got it.
But then
So
having
there's
the
some
equity is
flexibility there.
useful too. Yeah, I think so. But I would venture to bet that they're doing a combination. Most deals are like a hybrid, but it always depends. It's not always the same. But to see someone like Coinbase on it, I would think that there would be some equity involved too.
Got it. All right. And then the next one, Portal, right? That's an even bigger deal.
Yeah, and this was a large amount of money for what is called a seed round. So this one, as far as the structure of the deal, it was noted that it was an equity round. And then it talked about a potential token if Portal's validators vote on it. But then it mentioned something about an ERC20. So I was a little confused in terms of what is going on there because it's a Bitcoin based DEX.
Yeah.
So
And that exists already. So there must be something unique about this to be able to attract these more serious VCs, wouldn't you think?
right, right. And so I think there it's the atomic swapping of different assets on a Bitcoin based platform
Got it.
where you could have that going into IBC channels, Ethereum channels, their job postings. I think this was the one where if you look at their postings, they're actually hiring EVM folks and Cosmos developers, Cosmos SDK people. So I anticipate this being something we see more. I'm sure that they'll have something going on with different big Cosmos chains, but this is also one where I'm not sure. Maybe they're just trying to use IBC, the open source tech, for whatever that they're up to. But I'm excited about this one. I think this is going to be like anytime there's a Bitcoin based stack, I think it's always just good to see, you know?
We're seeing a lot of attention the last like year. Like everyone's during a bull market, everyone's obsessed with like the buzzwords, whether it's like metaverse or NFTs or whatever. In the bear market, everyone gets like a reality check, and then they have to like go back and appreciate Bitcoin a little bit more. And plus, with like the Ordinals protocol, and now they're kind of tinkering with some stuff that looks like you could put a DEX on Bitcoin itself. I think this is good to see a shift back to just proof of work in general because of security. Right? All these bridges got hacked over and over again during the bull market, and it seems like 3 days later, everyone just forgets about it. And now, like you mentioned earlier, these are some serious players coming into these two particular projects. One of them Bitcoin, but IBC is involved. Cosmos is kind of involved. Who are the other big players that you would name that you see kind of equivalent to Coinbase?
Yeah, well, any of the big exchanges, of course, like
Mm.
Kraken, they weren't on that. They weren't, I don't think, on this one. But that's
OKX,
what I
I
look
think,
for.
right? Was it OKX
Yes,
was on one of them?
Gate.io as well. Gate.io, they're pretty active investors, but anytime you have an like a US based, in the heart of the regulatory hell that is the US for this industry, to
Hmm.
see anyone like that go in, it always, I think, says something.
Yeah,
But I didn't recognize the other Arlington Capital. I'm not
Arlington, I saw
familiar.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Personally, not very familiar with them, but yeah, Gate.io and OKX. So seeing the exchanges is interesting. I anticipate. So you were talking about, bull run stuff. I think the Bitcoin ETF is a huge reason for why we're seeing this stuff. But then you got to imagine that these exchanges are going to use this technology to maybe make their own operations more efficient and maybe help with the regulatory side of things. Because if it's a decentralized exchange that they can plug into for liquidity,
Yeah.
that might make things, I don't know if it makes things easier or harder for them, but I think it probably makes it cheaper.
Yeah, I was saying I wonder if you'll see smaller exchanges pop up, tap into liquidity like this or Thorchain or something, just to be able to
Mhm.
fulfill big swaps in the beginning without needing, tons of liquidity actually on the exchange. That'll be interesting to see. I talked to Thorchain's co-founder about a month ago, and I always thought Thorchain were I thought those were atomic swaps, and he explained the difference of how it's not atomic swaps. This one, I think, is atomic swap based. We read, right?
That's what I saw. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any other small deals or interesting deals that you caught the last week or two that you want to?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the last week there was a $300,000 seed raise, pre-seed raise with Astrovault. So no VCs
Right.
there.
I was
Yeah.
involved with that. I was involved with
Yeah.
that. I thought that was extremely fair. There was that one going on, and then the AQLA one, completely different way of doing it, but I thought that was also pretty fair. Um, Having just regular people be able to come in for a small amount, none of this like, oh, accredited investor, whatever the case might be. Um, in your opinion, how did that go? And how far did that get them? Being that, you know, inexperienced user might just say, like, oh, it's another DEX. That
Yeah. Well,
330,000 seems like it's significant based on the fact that it was kind of grassroots.
100% for a team that hadn't raised any money. There were a couple grants that they had access to. Um, but yeah, no large institutional types involved, and that says a lot. So the traction is solid. There's momentum behind it. It's a lot of fun things planned for Astrovault, and yeah, I think it's just really exciting to see that there's that much demand for something like that, and the user
Mhm.
experience. I mean, for everyone who used it, I think I didn't really hear anything too negative on the UX because things didn't break. The only thing I noticed was that like when it actually ended and there was the $30,000 jackpot that got secured by one
Yeah.
lucky person. I mean, it took like 5 to 10 seconds for like the zero to be actually zero, like it stopped on zero. But I mean, that I think was just block time related, so it wasn't. If that's the worst thing that happened in the whole thing, I mean, kudos to the devs.
Maybe if that happens often, it'll change Eric's mind and he'll want his own blockchain for Astrovault.
I don't know, man. I don't know. He's
I'm just kidding, Eric. I'm just kidding. But um, why don't you just let people know how they could subscribe to the newsletter, and then we'll stay on top of this stuff. It'd be great to have you, as often as you can come on to update people on, like, I consider like the VC world to be like the real world. Like, they're doing research. These are professional investors and whatnot. But yeah, how should people get affiliated with that newsletter?
Yeah, just go to cryptochemistry.io and you can hit there's a join the community button. There's a subscribe button if you scroll down for the newsletter. The branding is a little different. So the branding of the newsletter is called Profit Pulse. We
Mhm.
are publishing stuff on other industries too. Right now, a little bit of AI stuff, a little bit of biotechnology stuff. So if you
Cool.
click the subscribe button, you get to pick what digest you want once you click the button. So just click the Web3 crypto button and you'll get these every week, sometimes every 2 weeks. But that's how we do that. And then of course I'm on X, Twitter, the real Mr. Swiss. Just type in Swiss or crypto chemistry, you'll probably find me.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate it. Definitely would love to have you come back on and just keep these deals coming. You guys heard it. Go check out the newsletter, and it's important to stay on top of this stuff. The money has to come from somewhere, and serious players like Coinbase, Arrington, other exchanges kind of like to see it, especially if it's so close to home with IBC being involved in some of these bigger deals. So thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Catch you later.
Yep. All right. All right. Yeah, I mean, I always found it odd that VCs got such a bad rap, and I understand that there's some VCs that don't do the right thing. I'm not going to deny that. A lot of dumping going on, a lot of, you lock up your tokens and then we get to sell our tokens at the right time with our marketing all coming together at the same time. But it's Coinbase. I think Coinbase is set to be like a bank, and in 10 years it's going to be, you know, if we follow the trajectory somewhat that we've been on the last like 6 to 8 years, Coinbase is going to be like a too big to fail, right? So they're involved in these small projects now. 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100 could end up being like a mega project, right? So yeah, if you want to look further into what he just brought up, Polymer Labs and Portal were the builders that were involved. So I think I'm gonna bring the chat in to help me with this next part. I want to get into some trends that I'm going to be following for 2024. One of those is privacy and transparency. We just talked about Solana. Curious what you guys thought about the Solana thing with the KYC in order to engage with certain tokens, complying with regulations in order to issue certain tokens on Solana. Because we did have a space about 2 weeks ago. Tank was there, Cosmos Haas with the Shade team, channel sponsor. And we're talking about privacy. We're talking about transparency. Are you entitled to privacy? In blockchain? No, right? I mean, Bitcoin was set up to be as transparent as possible. That's probably why governments do not like it. Let's bring some music in too. What are we going to go with here? Open with the hip hop. I'll do the house. Take me back to my roots 20 years ago, frequenting the clubs. So, like I mentioned before, Shade Protocol, it's built on secret network, privacy, transactional privacy. A good analogy. I talked to Carter from Shade the first time, and he said, Bitcoin's great. Blockchain's right there. These transactions go through, they're permanent, all that. You do peer-to-peer trading, everyone can see it. Great. Don't want to hear that. No music, I guess. But thank you for letting me know. He said music screws up the audio. I'm experimenting today, man. I got bringing in guests on the fly. Don't even have an index card in front of me. And just throwing music out there like I'm DJing club. So, but anyway, the analogy was Bitcoin's transparent. Great. It was designed to be that way. And then you have Shade, right? What they believe it's Shade, the builders at Shade. You go to a hot dog stand, you buy a hot dog one day with crypto. Now that hot dog vendor can see every single one of your transactions since you first loaded the wallet. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not ideal, is it? That's not ideal. So we're gonna have this narrative probably till the end of time. Privacy is over here, transparency is over here. Can we have both? Maybe we can, right? Maybe certain protocols for certain purposes are going to have both. We just heard about Solana's token extension that allows for ZK proofs to be used for something like payroll. So I could see that you got paid, but I can't see all the details of that transaction. I don't know if you make more money than me. I don't know if you got a $10 million bonus. I don't know if you got a pay cut. I don't know. But an auditor can come in and your accountant can come in, do your taxes, audit the company because they have keys to see the details of the transaction. So I think in the United States, privacy is going to be the exception, not the rule. In other parts of the world, I don't know. I think it'll be a little more prevalent in other parts of the world. I like that Bitcoin is transparent. I like that there's transparency. I should be able to see the wallet addresses of people voting on governance proposals, for example. I should be able to see that if I have a stake in a certain protocol and there's governance involved. But then there are other situations where maybe you shouldn't see who's voting on what or who's transacting on what. So that's something I think that we should pay attention to, and I'll bring that in here. This was tweet by our good friend Terra Spaces. They archive zillions of spaces on their website, terraspaces.org. This is the one where we talked about privacy, and we didn't get anywhere. We just kind of laid some philosophical arguments on the table, talked about one or two specific situations, but this narrative is gonna be ongoing. That's why I have it as a trend for 2024. That's why I have it as a trend. But yeah, um, this will be down below. If you want to listen to a bit of this space, I think it was interesting. Had some good contributors to the space. Some good contributors. Trend number two. Trend number two. Let's go to the next one. It's these tokens that have trouble capturing the value of the activity either on the chain or the protocol. In this case, it's a protocol. So I started listening to a podcast that I want to plug. It's called the DeFi Report. It's like 8 episodes so far. Very analytical type podcast. They're just using data from Token Terminal to inform the entire discussion. Well, it's like episode 5 or 6. They talked about Uniswap. I think it was just called the economics of Uniswap. And what was interesting was, listen, Uniswap is the first major DeFi protocol, right? It was a DEX. It was an AMM. They took the idea of an exchange and they made it so that individuals could participate in the market making, right? That the AMM model replaces market making on a centralized exchange, more or less. So, 23% of the revenue, right? Uniswap is an application on Ethereum that initially launched with um, no token. It also launched initially with no fee going back to the builders. Very interesting. But 23% of Ethereum's total revenue comes from Uniswap. Fast forward to 2024, Uniswap does have a token. It's a governance token. It fluctuates wildly in value also. It was airdropped, and at one point that airdrop was worth like $16,000. People that did like a couple swaps on Uniswap got a $16,000 airdrop of this token. But on the DeFi report, they say that Uniswap only actually captures a little less than half of that. And a bunch of it, I might have my numbers wrong, 45%, 45 million, that doesn't look right. But ballpark it. Less than half of that value actually gets returned to Uniswap. And it does go to the LPers in the form of fees, I guess. And with concentrated liquidity there, version 3, I would imagine if you're actively managing a large position, you can do well if you're very good at it. How much to the Uniswap token holders? None. How much to the team? None. Although I think they did just turn on some fee mechanism so they can collect fees. But Uniswap, man, oh man, what a monster application! It's the number 1 DEX token by market cap, and I just put this here. Will they launch their own chain? DYDX did it. DYDX wanted granular control over the base layer, and I'm sure they wanted a better value capture mechanism for their monster perp stacks. How would Uniswap look as its own chain? And Uniswap is just an example. There are probably hundreds of protocols where their token is actively being traded, but really doesn't capture the value of the protocol that it belongs to. And part of the reason I think is because a lot of these tokens are governance tokens first, and they weren't really designed to capture the value, right? So I think a trend to watch in 2024 is just if a protocol is actually generating revenue, right, higher than their expenses, right? In Cosmos, we have app chains where you have good protocols that just they can't beat their expenses. But What about the token? Is it going to just go up and down with narratives? That's something to watch, I think. And Uniswap is just such a, oh my god, it's such a monster application. Like, I don't know, where would we be right now in DeFi without Uniswap? So let's go on to more tokens. Doom and gloom here. Here we go. Here we go. This is what are we going to watch in 2024? How about token unlocks? Token unlocks. So many tokens have just a small percentage of their total supply actually in circulation. So let me just read this. It says Avalanche, the blockchain platform poised for a major event in the month of love. That's this month. It's February. Is gearing up for a significant development. Ooh, this sounds really good. But let's keep reading. As February unfolds, the cryptocurrency market is anticipating the release of 900 million worth of vested tokens from an array of projects. It's going to be an influx into the market, right? So, don't know if they're all going to be sold. They're just going to be unlocked. They're going to be available to be moved around. And some of the projects involved: Avalanche, Aptos, Sandbox, Optimism, Sui, whatever. But it says here, Avalanche is strategically targeting strategic partners, team members, and an airdrop to maintain a balance between long-term commitment and short-term sell-offs. We'll see how that goes. But February 22nd, Avalanche is set to unleash 9.5 million tokens valued at $250 million. That's significant. I'm sorry, that's significant. I mean, I know Avalanche has what, like a $12 billion market cap? So it's like what? My math is shoddy. 2.5%, 3% is going to be available suddenly on February 11th. That's like in a week, February 11th. And yes, this requires strategy. You don't want to have all these holders lose faith because of some short-term price action during what a lot of people think is a bull market. So Aptos has a strategy to ensure market stability. I'm sure Avalanche is like, we've come so far. Do we want to lose? Do we want to shake out a bunch of holders with this impending release of vested tokens? I mean, look, there's a lot of tokens that I hold. I know they're unlocks this year. Last year, Osmosis had tons of unlocks, and I talked about it. I got yelled at. But look at Osmosis's price action, right? Whale, I hold Whale. I know they have unlocks this year. Celestia, later on in the year, they have lots of unlocks. Makes you wonder if these like vesting schedules are, really the best way to go about this. It just kind of kicks the can down the road, right? There's got to be a better way to distribute tokens. I think about it all the time. But yeah, 2024, the year of the unlocks. Are some tokens just going to underperform the market, even though they have superior tech, superior marketing, but just these unlocks just derail the train? Don't know. Avalanche has been one of the early shining stars. But yeah, let's watch for unlocks. And of course, I'll bring it to you here on the stream because, I think about tokens all day, all night, even tokens that I don't hold. All roads lead to Bitcoin, especially on this show. Coinbase analyst sees downside pressures on Bitcoin's price becoming exhausted. That'll be nice as we hit the halvening, right? A lot of people are, hopeful that the halvening is going to create this like supply shock, but every halvening, the actual effect is less and less and less. Right, going from 6.25% to 3.125% inflation is not as crazy as going from 12.5 Bitcoin per block to 6.25. So this is Coinbase, though. And we just talked about Coinbase as a major player. I hope so. I've been living my whole life around this halvening the last couple of years. Downside pressures on Bitcoin and the wider cryptocurrency market are becoming exhausted, according to a Coinbase report. Well, of course, Coinbase is going to want bullish news out there. They're a publicly traded company as well. I did buy some of their stock last week, the week before. I was buying Coinbase stock from like $36. So I don't really care what my entry is right now. I think Coinbase If you look at it this way, there are some altcoins valued like almost the same as, Coinbase was a couple of months ago. Coinbase is valued like, I don't know, $28 billion. Doesn't seem like that much considering everything that Coinbase is into. Not financial advice, just comparing apples and oranges here. Look at the market cap for AVAX, Chainlink. These are one token, one protocol, right? But this report by Coinbase, it seems to be good timing if you're a Bitcoin bull because of the halvening, right? Coinbase's weekly market report released on Friday described how certain technical factors that had been exerting downside pressure on Bitcoin specifically and the broader crypto. So specifically Bitcoin and all the other tokens at the same time. So I think specifically is not the best word there. Look, we found another article that was not written by AI. AI would not have put that word there. So these pressures are beginning to wane. Yeah, that's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. I'm the biggest Bitcoin bull in the cosmos, I think. I think everything has to come back to Bitcoin. Everything. So, and it's the majority of my portfolio. As everyone who follows me knows, I am heavy in the Bitcoin and ETH, like 58%, 55% of my portfolio is just sitting there in the big tokens that aren't going to do much compared to the rest of the market. But anyway, that's the stream. I hope you liked it. Like, share, subscribe, do all that. Smash all the buttons before you go. Say hi on Twitter. Comment if you think that my music stinks or if you think my commentary is wonderful. Just leave it down below. I always like I respond to like every comment. Every comment that I see, I respond to. I even go to my old videos and I respond to those comments, even if it's like 6 months ago. Who else does that? Tank doesn't do that. No way. Cryptocito does not do that. Don Kryptonium does not do that. And when he does, he's confrontational. I'm not confrontational. This is the February. It's a love stream. It's not a live stream. But I'll see you next week, Monday night, post Super Bowl show.